Let's talk about color theory. Color theory is a method deep rooted in practical as well as science, and it is used from long time to discover finest combinations of colors. So in year 1666, Sir Isaac Newton brought color wheel in front of the world. He mapped color spectrum onto a circle that revolutionized the way we perceive and see colors. And that's why even today color wheel is a cornerstone when it comes to design, guiding all the designers from all over the field to create captivating color palettes. And today, especially in the design industry, understanding of color wheel is a core basic and minimum requirement to start your journey as a designer. And in today's video, I will give you the glimpse of all the important concepts of color theory and color wheel, and how you can use color wheel to create a great pick of colors for your design projects. Hi, my name is Darshan, and with that, let's get deep dive into the world of colors. But before starting the meat part of the video, let's first understand another fascinating aspect of color theory, which is color association. Now just close your eyes and imagine something spicy. What color comes into your mind? Red, right? Now imagine something cool and refreshing. Blue pops into your head. Imagine something that gives the feeling of calm and pleasantness. That's the essence of white. Something which is closer to organic and gives the vibe of nature. That is green. And something which can stand out from all the colors representing energy and brightness. That's the essence of yellow. And that's why the color yellow is used for taxi especially. Now after this, you may have realized this, that every condition, experience, feeling in our mind is associated with some particular color. And in the concepts of color theory, that association of color into your mind is called as pigment color or primary color. And this is the foundation principle of color theory, which says that you should be able to imagine, or you should be able to figure out your first color into your mind related to whatever project you have to build. And then if you have that first color into your mind, you can move forward with color wheels. Now let's understand the raw basic of color wheels. Currently we have two kinds of color wheels. One is RYB and one is RGB. Let's talk about RYB first. RYB stands for red, yellow, blue, which is used for real world scenarios like for painters or for artists. Any color from the RYB is called as pigment color, which is once applied cannot be removed. The second one is RGB color wheel, which stands for red, green, blue. And this is the one which is specially used for digital purposes like for graphics designing or for some kind of design work. The special part about RGB color wheel is that the colors you use from this palette are adjustable as per your requirement. This gives you a greater flexibility and the scope of showing your creativity into your design projects. So in this video, our primary focus will be to understand RGB color wheel. So once you try to search for a color wheel onto your browser, it can be from any brand, and once you open any color wheel, you will be mesmerized with that fact that you will not be able to distinguish a single color from that color wheel. Why? Because this is hard to believe but true that there are almost 16.7 million colors onto a color wheel. Now that's a shocking fact, but that is true. The small circle you see onto the screen has almost 16.7 million colors encompassed into it. Now if you wonder how these countless colors are created onto a color wheel, well, surprisingly it just starts with three colors, and you may have guessed them till now. RGB means red, green and blue, and these are called as primary colors in a color wheel. Once you mix these three colors with each other in a non-repeated permutation, it gives you a palette of 6 colors including the 3 primary colors. And then when you mix these 6 colors with each other again in a non-repeated permutation, it again comes out to be a palette of 12 colors including those 6 colors. So likewise this chain goes on and on, fabricating each color with fascinating combinations of 2 colors, and likewise you get approx 16.7 million colors. So as you can wonder, each color onto a color wheel is created with this fascinating sequence. This is definitely something which is marvelous to hear. Now let's understand warm and cool colors. In real world we have two sense of feelings. One is warm and one is cold. And on this basis, on a color theory, there is a concept of warm and cool colors. The feeling that we feel when there is a harsh sunlight or there is intensity or fire around us, we feel the sense of warmthness and intensity around us, right? And that feeling in color theory is associated with some colors like red, yellow, purple, orange. Similarly for cold, when we feel around us something which is icy, something which is cold, we feel the sense of cooling within us. And in color theory, there is the association of color with this feeling of coolness, something like green, blue. Now understanding this dichotomy of warm and cool colors based on the real sense of feeling of a human being makes it easy for us to understand how we can segregate colors based upon some category and based upon some another category. Now let's talk about the concept called as tint, shades and tones. Now here in this concept, we are specifically talking about 2 colors and 1 color which comes by blending these 2 colors. So in a wide spectrum of colors, there are specifically these two colors which plays a significant role in a color theory. These two colors has a special relationship with each color in a color spectrum, and these colors are white and black. Now let's understand what is the concept and the reason behind it. Now when you mix either of this color with any other color from the color palette, it gives you three variants of that color. One is tint, second is tone, and third one is shade. Now what's the benefit of this? Well, the simple benefit is that you can use a single color with its different shades as a color palette. But still, let's understand each of this variant individually. So the first one is tint. Now what's the concept here is that when you mix a white color as a base color in any of the color from the color palette, it gives you a variation of that color which goes towards white, and this variation or this palette is called as tints of that color. The more you go towards white, the more the color becomes more lighter and more brighter. Now in application perspective, this property of a color or these shades of a color is specifically used for giving eye-pleasing and less eye-intensive experience. The second one is shades. Now this is similar to the tint. The difference only is that when you mix black color with any of the colors from a color palette, it gives you a set of variants of that color which goes towards black. Now again, when you observe that variant palette of that color, the more you go towards black, the more intense the color becomes. And when we talk about the application part of this variant of specific color, this gives you in a design more premium, overpowered and mystic look. The third one is tones. It is not something which is individual in itself. It's just that when you mix white color with black color, it gives you a color called as grey. And when you mix that grey color as a base color with any other color from color palette, it gives you a variation of that color which is called as tones. Now the variants of tones of any color is not specifically used for primary use in a design. It's used as a secondary color for maybe adding a text or maybe a paragraph or something else. Now let's talk about the another concept, which is hue, saturation and luminance. Now if you talk about picking a color palette from a color wheel, these concept or these properties just plays a role as a theoretical purpose. But in a concept of color theory, when you try to edit any of your design, especially on any editor, these three factors plays a critical role that how your colors will appear in that design while editing. So it is very important and critical to understand this concept. So the first one is hue. Now hue means nothing, basically means a color from a color wheel. Hue is a word which is synonymously used for a word color. The second one is saturation. It simply means how intense your color is in a darker aspect. The more darker the shade of your color will be, the more saturated it will be. And the third one is luminance, equally opposite to saturation. The more lighter the shade of a color will be, the more luminant the color will be. Now specifically when you pick a color from a color wheel, these factors just play a role of a theoretical concept. But specifically when it comes to editing your design on an editor, these three factors plays a critical role into your design. Now let's talk about very important concept in color theory as well as in color wheel, which is color combination. Now this is something very important because once you find your primary color based upon your project idea, and once you start using color wheel to get your color palette for your design, there are millions of colors on a color wheel and it will be not easy for you to find what specific color is that which suits your design as well as your aura and essence of your design. And because the great companies and great designers understand this, they have created a concept called as color combination and color combination standards. Now obviously there are millions of colors on a color wheel, and you are free to play and you can find your colors based upon your requirement. But if you don't have that experience of finding intuitive colors for your design, then there are some predefined standards that each company put onto their color wheels. And these standard combinations are like more of standard. Like you can find great colors from this combination as a beginner, and you can find a color palette which is very harmonious. So just let's quickly discuss each of them one by one. So the first standard is complementary, which says that once you put your primary color onto a color wheel and once you select this standard, it will give you a diagonally opposite color to that color, and basically there will be just two colors and the palette will be created. And the speciality of this complementary standard is that the contrast between these two colors is very vibrant, which means that if you use this color palette wisely into a design, this palette can bring elegance look into a design. The second one is monochromatic standard. Now this standard can bring three shades of the color including your primary color. Now if you look this palette closely, these three color shades will look equivalent to you, but don't confuse it with the hue, saturation and luminance part. These colors are individual in itself. Let me give you an example. For example, there is a color which is chili red. Also there is a color which is rose red. Also there is a color which is pinkish red. All colors are red when you talk about a complete hierarchy. but in itself these color has individual properties. Now when you use this palette of monochromatic combination into your design, it gives you a harmonious and eye-pleasing look into your design. The third combination is called as analogous. Now this combination gives you two adjacent colors of your base or primary colors from both sides of the color wheel. Now the color palette created using this combination gives you versatile colors in each other, where the base color is a primary color, or you can say dominant color, and the two other colors are adjacent colors. The fourth combination is triadic. Now this gives you three colors including your primary color evenly spaced onto a color wheel. The result, more vibrant and bold color palette with high contrast between each colors. The fifth and last one is a tetradic combination, which is similar to triadic. The difference here is that instead of three colors, now we get four colors including your base or primary color, which are evenly spaced onto a color wheel. And when you see it closely, it looks like a boxy look onto a color wheel. Again, the result is that the palette has very vibrant and bold colors, and each color has very high contrast between each other. So as I said earlier, these are the standard combinations which are provided by every company who provides a color wheel. Obviously, you can create your own color palettes based on your own color combinations and own set of rules that you feel will match your design more. Color wheel is a free ground of colors for you to play with 16.7 million colors. No matter which combination you build, it's just that the resultant palette should look good in your design. That's it. Oh, that was a long video, right? But that was all I wanted to say in this video about color theory and color wheel. And let me tell you that these are just basics that I've shared with you in this video. Obviously, there are more things to discuss and learn in the world of color theory and color wheel. And if you are interested in that, I will share some resources into the description of this video. If you are interested to understand the worlds of color and color theory and how everything works, check out the description later. And with that, I would say that if you feel this video useful and if you appreciate my efforts in creating this video, then do like this video and share it with your friends, because that motivates and inspires me to create more such videos, and that makes me aware about the fact that people are liking these kind of videos which are more informative and more useful. And as a wrap up, I would say that was all about this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Namaste.